Thank you so much for inviting me too, and I'm really honored to be here in this SLED conference symposium. Today I'm going to talk about my ongoing research on professional development for foreign language educators in a limited technology context. Sorry. So I'm from Uzbekistan, and I identify myself as an Uzbek woman, and I have been here since 2004, and I was working on Uzbek English multimedia dictionary, and in 2011 I decided to get my second master's degree in instructional design, and became an online student because I had to work full time. And I also identify myself as a cultural ambassador and an advocate for language learning. So, and I feel I have so many opportunities here because I feel empowered. I can find information, I can share my knowledge with anybody, and can get connected to professionals, and I can get instant feedback. So recently I have been in Uzbekistan to exchange passports for my children. I had digital divide experience there. So after I came back, our new leadership changed, and I saw how changes are happening in Uzbekistan rapidly. So our new president is calling for action, and a need. There is a need for professional development. I've been contacted by several people from Uzbekistan. Can you help us to conduct professional development because you have so much experience in American education? And I thought, well, I have my study, I have my work, I have my family here. How can I help? So I decided to use all my experience through online learning with my colleagues. My study is about recent Google Classroom experience with foreign language educators in Uzbekistan. My study started in October 17th. It was not intended to be a study, but it became a study recently. So we started communicating with my colleagues in October, and I had to learn about the context, about the site, what is available there, what is possible to do, how can we organize this, how is it going to go online, simultaneous, asynchronous, or and what kind of technology is existing there. So we decided to conduct a needs analysis and design the survey. So after that, I had to be very quick because they were insisting we have to get started. When are we going to start? So we launched the program in January 10th, and it's an ongoing project. So needs analysis is conducted mainly before the program is launched, but right now I'm experiencing that I have to collect more data and more information about my learners and participants. So we have email exchange, numerous hundreds of email exchanges, and through survey I have collected data, but then I figured out that there are so many other factors are related to this course. So I found out that some other channels work better there, and through classroom posts, self-reports, observations, and online meetings, I'm collecting my data. So what is limited technology context? So limited It can be limited access to technology, like parents' objections, conflicting lab schedules or firewalls, or limited connection due to electricity issues or slow, unstable connection, or limited funding to buy a new hardware or software or old software. It can be technical support or professional development, space, furniture, or limited access to resources, especially lack of culturally relevant or language-specific materials, biased perception, or digital literacy, or other issues. And finally, it can be instructional strategies, limited instructional strategies for digital media use. So, even in the US, we have this, some ESL classrooms that remain limited. So in Uzbekistan, we're facing mainly a need for instructional strategies. And limited technology is seen mainly as a poor use of technology and as a handicapping instruction. However, literature says that limited technology can be effective as a use of unlimited technology. So real gap is between effective and ineffective use of technology. So my research questions are, how can we solve this type of problems creatively, and what can we learn from this case study? So there are different issues in this case study. First, digital divide issue, language barriers issue, because my participants vary in terms of English acquisition, and gender issues, freedom of speech, and privacy and confidentiality concerns. So, as I said, my survey design was based on 5 categories. So, demographic information, language proficiency, technology use, instructional strategies, and professional development needs. So this was before conducting research. So in Uzbekistan, it's important to know cultural information. You have to know who your participants, their age, how to contact them, how to call them, and their gender. So age, mainly in this course, is 31, 40, as you can see, mainly, and females are more among participants. And they teach less common top languages such as Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, Urdu, Japanese, Korean, Persian, Turkish, and others. So my participants are trained in traditional language teaching. Some had participated in other professional development courses abroad, and they speak several languages, and their English proficiency varies. They have access to mobile technology. Majority of participants have used mobile technology. And I selected Google Classroom for online delivery of materials. So none of us, including me, didn't use Google Classroom in the past because there was a reason for choosing that. So they need support with digital technology use. So why did I choose Google Classroom even though I was not familiar with that? Because it's free. And you can change a language setting to Uzbek or Russian. So you can embed Google Drive, Google Slides, Google Form, Google Sites, or YouTube videos, or even Google Calendar. And it is connected to Gmail directly, and it sends automatic reminders, notifications to students and teachers, and provides data on performance. And you can embed some free apps onto it, such as rubrics, assessment templates, and even edit PDFs and provide some voice comments. So However, it has some limitations or home sites too. For example, it's not intuitive as in Canvas here. And it has very tiny letters, or you cannot see discussions as it appears in Canvas. And it does not function on some domains and requires some training for the participants. So I ended up reading books like call in limited technology contexts. So what kind of challenges and obstacles were facing my participants? First of all, introductions. It took more than 2 weeks to get introductions done. At first, after working here, having, being introduced to many technologies, using power of technology at IU, it was a little frustrating for me. However, I figured out that they're teachers, they're motivated, they want to learn, but something is going on. So I walked them through LMS, Google Classroom, via videos and supplementary material. I created Word documents and PDFs for them to use step by step, how to go into Google Classroom and how to use it. And created some checklists, what to do next or what to do next. And I decided to organize reading groups there because there is a time difference, 10 hours time difference, and I can't be present in these classes at night. It would be 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for me here, although I participated in the first day, January 10th. And we decided to do online meetings with facilitators, discussion leaders, and we do it on weekends, and then they prepare and deliver the material. So it was important to provide multiple points of access to the materials. So my goal was creating a community of inquiry by, I think I see some slides. Anyways, social presence is important, netiquette, how to communicate online, how to create online communication, open communication, and interpersonal relationships, how to show respect to each other and share their experience. Also, these communications should be sustained, being continuous, and I wanted them to reflect on their learning. So we embedded 2 weeks for each model. We asked them to read articles. By the way, selecting materials was not easy, so that was important. So teaching presence is on the weekends. So what kind of challenges we can see in this case? So you obviously can see language difficulty. And even though they have mobile devices, sometimes they don't know how to launch Google Slides over here, you can see. And also time issue. They are tired because they have a lot of teaching load, and they have, however, they are motivated in learning. So they're coming with different solutions. You can see here how they change the language setting. So I asked them, my questions were interview questions, how you are solving these obstacles, how you are overcoming issues. So they always have plan A and B. They have energy and Wi-Fi solutions. If there's no electricity, they have their devices, power banks, and Wi-Fi solutions. This is a mobile Wi-Fi tool. So they can carry their materials in different formats like we did recently in America, like hardware or software. So, and they use multiple devices at the same time and change language settings, as I say. So initially, when I was designing a course, my thoughts were, okay, I'm going to introduce technology, how to use mobile, technology, how to use computers, how to use the software, how to create materials and instructional strategies and discuss papers. But our current activities became more like reflections and discussing values and changes and about building trust, identifying critical issues and empowering people, and also addressing accountability through reading groups and reflections. So instructional strategies became more about motivation, critical thinking, leadership, discussing global issues and communication strategies. So what we have to consider when we're designing classes abroad in limited technology context, first of all, we have to consider human factor, making it relevant to their context and engaging, and provide instant feedback as much as possible and support their knowledge. And also organizational factor, what do they have there, what kind of setting is there, economic factors like electricity or others, or social factors, what kind of cultural issues are happening there. So how do we empower people? So considering cultural context is very important. I found out that syllabus design was an interesting case here. I'm learning from them also about the context. For example, in Uzbekistan, they implemented syllabus practice 4 years ago, but it was never distributed to students because they didn't understand what's the purpose of it. So this was an eye-opening experience for them because they said, well, we didn't know why we had to do that. So this is going on, and I want to quickly show a few more things. So we have to be flexible, and we have to create learning community that is open space for everybody, where they can reflect and share their feelings. So right now, my participants, even though they're traveling, they believe in the power of online technology and share their ideas. So I started hearing some voices, self-reports from my participants. In Uzbekistan, it's very important to be, it's very hard to be a woman because you have several roles. You marry very early, they marry from age of 17, and then by the age of 36, they can be moms or grandmothers. So, and they have to be teachers and, male, it's also not easy. So my self-report examples are here, very touchy. For example, one teacher shared me self-report, like 3-page report, even though I didn't ask her. She said, I feel I have to share it with you. And it says, to be a woman in Uzbekistan is interesting and very, very important. So what does a female teacher? She goes to work, she teaches, she writes her reports, she attends events and then comes home, cooks, cleans, which is like sweeping. We have to do that tradition, like in the morning, in the afternoon, you have to sweep the outdoor. You make your children to do their homeworks and greet your husband. So that's also important part of it. And then now you decide, okay, thank God I'm done. Now I can do my work. I can study. But all of a sudden a guest appears at the door. Because it's a cultural thing too. So yeah, it's not happening all the time, but it happens. Am I complaining too much, Umida? Opa? So, but why don't you ask, why don't you stop working then? Why don't you sit at home and become a housewife? Yeah, I worked 2 years and then I went to maternal leave. 3 years I was at home. I didn't get bored. I learned how to sew, how to knitting and drawing. And I did some translations for money, of course, and I I was working at the same time, like at home. However, I felt that I'm like very homey. I like teaching. I like being inside of people. So I decided to be patient and work and ignore anything else. So in Uzbekistan, it's very important for women to be teacher or a doctor. I was invited to work in a company, but my mother-in-law said, no, your work is best for you. So that's why I'm teaching here, and I'm really enjoying, and I don't care about any difficulties, and I don't feel sorry ever about my decision. Yeah, difficulties exist everywhere, and I'm very devoted that my educational system will change because of my efforts. So your online classes are sort of salvation and wind of hope for me. So it was very touching for me to get this kind of response, and I am motivated in learning this things. So I'm welcoming any ideas or suggestions, feedback, because it's just fresh study for me.